I'm Michael Fox, and this is the Prospector Podcast, and we are live on location in Mariol, London, England, at the Resourcing Tomorrow conference. And I'm sitting across from Jeff Swinoga, who is the president and CEO of Exploits Discovery. Welcome, Jeff.
Yeah, thanks, Michael. Pleasure being here.
Yeah, it's always good. We get to catch up. We see each other quite a bit during the course of the year. We seem to be at a lot of the same places. You raising money and me, getting caught up on the story. Exciting times for the company. You guys had a really good summer season. You're heading into a winter drill season. But before we get into the meat and potatoes of all that, as we always do for those that aren't familiar with the company, let's give them the 10,000-foot view.
Great. Well, thanks, Michael, for that. It's been an exciting time this summer. But stepping back, we're a gold exploration company in Central Newfoundland, following the footsteps of Newfoundland Gold, who's been drilling for about 5 years along this Alpine fault. We've got similar property to the north. One's called Bullseye, one's called Gazebo. We've launched a number of drill programs on our Bullseye property, and so far we've got 2 gold zones we've discovered. One's called the Horseshoe, one's called Saddle. All local team. Eric Sprout owns about 14% of our company. And it's great, exciting times.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Tell us about the drill results that you did get from the summer drilling program, because that's going to, help us define what you plan to do this winter.
Yeah, no, and thanks for that. So maybe just stepping back to our first drill program last year with one's called Horseshoe. We best hit was 38 grams over about 3 meters. And then this summer, as you mentioned, another exciting gold zone we discovered called Saddle, and that was 67 grams over 3.3 meters. So we're super happy to have grades of that magnitude and that size and fairly good intervals. So the plan is to go back, as you mentioned, Michael, and to have 3 targeted areas on Bullseye. One is to extend the saddle zone potentially. It looks like we hit that zone. So if you think about the Alpine fault zone, it's like a feather, and the gold's kind of spread across these splays that come off the stem or the Alpine fault. So that's how we found sort of a Horseshoe coming off. And then also Saddle looks like it's another interpreted splay coming through. Looks like we found the base of the stem, if you will, and we're looking to extend that across. And then the other exciting part is that we're drilling on the western side of the Alpine. Now, if you go back a couple of years, Newfoundland Gold, when they were drilling, said it looks like all the gold's on the eastern side, within about 500 meters. That's how they found Keats and iceberg and so forth. But then they started finding gold on the western side. So we've never drilled on the western side of our Bullseye property yet. So we're real excited because if you look how close their K2 gold zone is, it's within probably 100 meters of our southwestern flank. And then we're also that's one target. And then the other target's just the opposite side of Horseshoe on the western side of Alpine.
Yeah, I was going to ask, for people to understand that you are literally butted right up against Newfoundland. And when you're talking about these particular zones, that there isn't a whole lot of difference between their property and your property. So that it's very logical to be following these faults across out of their property and through your property.
Oh yeah, like you talk about pulsology, but you literally can hear the drillers talking across the border, right? So it's that close. So
when they start whispering, do you know that they're onto something good?
Well, I guess it's like golf. You hear like a hole in one, right? Everyone shouts. But no, it's really fortunate to have almost like calling our big brother, having property to the southwest and almost at one point having 14 drills turning on their property and basically giving us a blueprint on how to find gold on the Alpine. They've been drilling for 5 years. 20 gold zones plus, and we just started drilling last year on the property to the north called Bullseye, and we already got two gold zones to our name, so we're looking to get a few more. But the big thing is to get to Gazebo. Gazebo is a much larger property, about 8 kilometers on the Alpine. You can fit all of Newfoundland's gold success within our Gazebo property to the north. It looks like it has similar splays, like to the south, and we've done some till sampling on that. And a lot of till sampling, and because tills, the whole province is covered by glaciers at one point, right? So it's not a lot of outcrops and such in places. By doing till sampling, we can find out where there's a high concentration of gold grains in the soil. And on Gazebo, we found 3 areas that have high gold grain counts, something like 14 times greater than background. So some are pristine, which means they're near to where the erosion kind of happened from the surface expression of the gold. And some are modified and highly modified, which means they could be, 500 meters away, a kilometer away. So we're triangulating down at Gazebo with these till samples, and hopefully having drill targets that'll be ready by the summertime.
So given where it is in relationship to what Newfoundland's already found, you're expecting that you might find as much gold as Newfoundland possibly in this Gazebo area.
That's what our goal is, to sort of demonstrate that hopefully the similar gold structures continue to the north. And like these are deep-seated structures, right? We're talking orogenic gold to go down kilometers, right? And so if you look at Newfoundland actually doing some deep drilling, they're going down 800 meters. And they've actually found, they've hit gold down at depth too. They've done a seismic survey. They spent $10 million in the seismic survey going down 3 kilometers. We actually got the data, that seismic data over our Bullseye property, because when they were doing the seismic survey, you needed all the ground around really to kind of get that depth, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And so the deal was they can go across our Bullseye property with their sensors and so forth, and we get the data for free. So actually, a lot of this seismic interpretation, we got the same consultant we're using as Newfoundland, is kind of helping us look at targets on the western side as well as the eastern side of our Bullseye property, because we have the data now. So no, it's been really helpful.
Yeah, it's good when you have that kind of closeology where it makes sense. Sometimes, close is like a game of hand grenades where, it counts, but not really. Yeah. Yours, it truly does, because you're dealing with mineralization essentially on the same fault lines that are running through both properties. Yeah. Now, your drill program that's coming up this winter, how big is the program and what's it designed to actually find out, and where exactly are the drill holes going to go?
Yeah, great question, because it's a small, like each of our programs are small and targeted. Our neighbor Newfoundland's been doing a lot of grid patterns, sort of like understanding how the gold's coming off the Alpine. We're sort of leveraging the knowledge that they've released publicly, and also what we do our own interpretation on our LiDAR and MAG. And so we take all that information and we put it into our database and actually look at very targeted programs. So we got $6 million in cash right now. So we're not spending a lot of money for these programs, but we're hoping to find something big, something significant. So far, we found 2 gold zones, but the current program is 2,500 meters. Probably represent about 10 to 12 holes, varying depths of maybe 300 meters-ish. And then we're going to put a couple of holes just above where K2 is, where Newfoundland's got their discovery on the western side of our Bullseye property. And then we're going to put some more drill holes around the opposite side of Horseshoe, that we discovered last year, our Horseshoe gold discovery. And then the key thing is to get to our saddle zone. Because if we can extend saddle, again, the 67 grams over 3.3 meters, if we can extend saddle further to the northeast, that would be great. It looks like we kind of touched it a couple times when we were drilling last year. And then this program has been quite successful. But yeah, we want to look to extend it.
Yeah, no, it's the interesting thing is that if you know the structure as it sits on the Newfound, sometimes you can infer where it is on yours without actually having to drill it until I guess at some point you kind of have to when you have to do the resource, but the company's not into that stage just yet. So but heady times, that's for sure. Those drill results are expected when?
Probably mid-Jan to late January next year. We started drilling last week. It does take about 6 to 8 weeks for the lab to kind of get back to us.
Yeah, and those till samples are also due in January?
Yes, that's right.
Okay, perfect. So January is the key moment where we find I guess Christmas is going to come late for you guys, but it's gonna show up, and then at that point you'll go back in, re-examine everything, and then plan for the next drill program, which will be planned for roughly March, April.
Yeah, so we take it in steps. So whether we switch to Gazebo or whether we focus on Saddle or do we actually go back to look at K2, it'll be dependent upon what we find with this program, the requirements. Yeah.
No, outstanding. So if people want to continue to follow this story, because it is an exciting one, as you mentioned, the K2 program that Newfound has is run within 100 meters of your border.
Yes.
And the drilling you are doing on your side of the border is very close to that and on the same trend. We should be expecting to see some goodness coming your way. How would people follow that?
Well, please follow on our website, www.exploitsdiscovery.com. We do a lot of social media on LinkedIn, we're on Instagram and others. So you can contact me directly, if you will, just on our investor line, and we'll get back to you right away.
And Jeff is right. He does get back to you right away. So as you know, that's one of the key points. If you call a company wanting information, they need to get back to you, or they're probably not a company you want to be dealing with. But that's another thing.
You should mention the ticker symbol too, like NFLD on the CSE and NFLDF on the OTC.
Outstanding. Thanks very much for this catch up, and I look forward to seeing you in January once those drill results come out.
Great. Well, thanks, Michael.
Exploits Discovery is a paid sponsor of the Prospector News. The host owns shares and warrants in Exploits Discovery bought at the market for investment purposes. The Prospector News podcast is for educational purposes only. The opinions expressed are those of the participants and are not to be taken as investment advice. Listeners need to do their own due diligence and seek advice of a licensed investment advisor.